Hi, my name is Laura. I'm the Reading Mushroom, and this is my first YouTube video. Today I want to introduce myself to Booktube, and I thought the best way to do that is by doing the newbie book tag. Booktube Newbie Tag. That's right. So question number one is, why did you start this channel? So the most obvious answer is, of course, that I like books and want to talk to people about those books. Most people I know don't really like to read, and even if they do, they don't tend to read the same stuff that I enjoy. So I thought the internet would be a better place to talk about books with other people. The second, less obvious answer is that I want to practice my English. I'm not a native speaker, I'm from Germany, I live in Germany, so I don't really have that many opportunities to practice my English. And I get the feeling that if I don't do that, it will get all rusty and at some point it will wither and die, and then I won't be able to talk in English at all. So I thought making those videos would help with staying in touch with the English language. Another reason why I'm doing this in English is that I like to read English books, not because I am some kind of, I don't know, person who's like, oh, I'm only reading English books, I'm so smart, but because I'm a fantasy book person, and most fantasy books, the kind of fantasy books I enjoy, are from the United States or some other English-speaking countries. So there's a broader variety of books, fantasy books, that are not just like some medieval setting, which I find boring after a time. So I want to read some varying stuff and not just the same old, same old. And to do that, I feel like I have to go to the English market because it's just such a bigger market. And most of the time, those novels, not all of them, they will not be translated into German. So I have to go English. The third answer, which is also not quite obvious, but I think it goes nicely with the second one, is that I want to practice talking freely. So not just English, but also German, where I feel like when I'm standing in front of a crowd and I have to say stuff, that I don't want my mouth to get all dry and that I forget how words work and language and stuff. So I think that's a good opportunity to practice that as well. Question 2, what are some unique and fun things you can bring to Booktube? Yeah, maybe the bags on rise. I look like I haven't slept in a millennia, which is not true. I always look back like that. And also maybe my German perspective. I don't know if that's a fun thing or a unique thing, but it's a thing, and we'll see if that plays any role in how I view books or not. So the third question is, what are you most excited for about this new channel? The answer to that is quite lame. It's talking about books I like and dislike and exchanging opinions with other people. So that's all I got for that. And number 4, why do you love reading? So I thought about this a while and I came up with the answer that in books you can go as grand as you want. So as I said before, I like to read fantasy, and fantasy TV shows or movies, they're so often they're limited by the budget they get. If you watch Lord of the Rings, for example, they've got nice sets and nice effects because they got a really big budget. But if you go to TV shows, maybe other than Game of Thrones, there's always this limit, and you can see that they can't do what they would like to do, and they have to they can't follow the source material that closely because they can't pay for all that. And you don't have that problem in a book. If I want to put my 1 billion feet high robot into my book, I can do that because it's just words, and words don't cost anything. And I like that you can go really grand, really big, and you can also trigger lots of stuff in your imagination that I don't think any other medium can in that way. And that's why I like to read. question number 5. What book or book series got you into reading? That, I think, the one I remember most from my childhood would be the Tiger Team series by Thomas Brezina, an Austrian author. This is a series of books about a group of children detectives. They're like 11, 12 years old, and they solve mysteries. And this was a really cool series because you get a little device with each book that was called a decoder, and at the end of each chapter there was a question that the book asked you about the case. So like, what did you see in that picture that was off? And then you could guess the answer, and then you could take out your decoder and decode the hidden message and see if you were right or wrong. And that was really fun. And the books also, they always were quite mysterious. They had some not supernatural elements in them, but most of the time it was some sci-fi stuff, so it was always very technical things. One book I remember very much, it was about like a haunted mansion, and there were ghosts, and I think it turned out it was just a bed sheet, but I remember getting really scared by that book because there were images in those books, pictures someone drew, and I don't know, this one got me. So, but I really liked the series overall. It was a really fun read, and I think maybe I should reread them. So, another series that I enjoyed as a kid was Harry Potter, of course. Like everyone my age. Sorry for being lame. But I also liked Artemis Fowl, which came out around the same time as Harry Potter, maybe a little bit later. And this one really got me as well. It was a really great series, and I still enjoy those two to this day, I think. Yeah. So number 6, what questions would you ask your favorite booktuber? I think the number 1 question would be if this gets less awkward after time. I don't know about other people who've sat right in front of the camera. It's just so weird. I want to know if that goes away sometime. The second question would be if you get sick of seeing yourself all the time because you have to edit your videos. And when I imagine myself sitting in front of my laptop and editing the video, I don't know. I think it's gonna be weird. Question number 7. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I think that would be posting interesting videos on a regular basis. So I think I've got some ideas figured out for what kind of videos I want to make in the near future, but I think it will be hard to just keep going with those ideas other than just talking about books I read and stuff like that. So we'll figure out. I'll figure out if I can stay interesting or even be interesting in the first place. When did you start reading? I got an answer written here. It says, when I was young, and that's true. So I think my mother gave me some books when I was like 4 to 5 years old. I don't think I could read at that time. I think I started learning with 5 years. But picture books, does that count? I don't know. But I guess that's the time when I started reading. So where do you like to read? Right here and in bed before I go to sleep. I like comfy places. I also read on the bus or the train when I'm going somewhere. I don't own a car, so I'll go there everywhere by using public transportation. But right now I'm not going places, obviously, because of this situation going on. So I mostly read at home. And the last question is, what kind of books do you like to read? So like I said before, fantasy is my number 1 go-to genre, be it adult, YA or middle grade. Mostly I read adult fantasy because you get all the options in that genre, but sometimes I take a trip to YA or middle grade and read those books as well, if they're good. So I like good books. Everyone does, right? Yeah, that's stupid. I also like to read sci-fi novels. I think they're kind of similar to fantasy, just with more technical things and not just fantasy things. But I do think those genres kind of overlap sometimes. But they're all this grandness is in both of them. And sometimes if society makes me feel like I have to read smarter things, I pick up some literary fiction. I've got one that I want to read in the following month, which is like 1,000 pages long, and I'm excited for that. But I think, I don't know, it's gonna be interesting. But I like to read those sometimes as well. And that's all of the questions. So I made it through my first video. Yay, me! I think in the following videos I want to talk about my reading taste a bit more and what kind of books I really enjoy. And so if you liked that video, good for you. You did not waste your time on me. And if you didn't, that's also okay, because you are free. And thank you very much for watching, and maybe we'll see each other again.